What's up, Broncos Country, and welcome to another episode of Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football. As always, I'm Adam, and I am off of hiatus now. I took a couple weeks, kind of recharged the batteries a little bit, but while I was off, it doesn't mean I wasn't working. I was letting some ideas percolate, getting some more content ready for the show, and now I am just super pumped, supercharged to head to get into the NFL offseason, which is just, it's a mishmash of rumors and a little bit of truth, but a whole lot of speculation mixed in with some subterfuge of what teams are doing, especially your Denver Broncos. So, since we're in the NFL offseason, there will be two segments to the show. First segment is going to be the NFL draft. And I look online for the most salacious, the sexiest, the most mind-blowing things online, and I break it down in a segment that I like to call True Dat or Basically, I will be researching a topic. I will look into it to see if it has some truth, and I will, at the end of it, I will give my final verdict of if it's true dat or if it's Second part of it is the NFL free offseason or free agency, and I will look, same thing, I will find the most interesting thing online and I will break it down to see if it has any truth to it. As always, subscribe, hit that like button, give me a follow, give me a comment, buy me presents. I was a little disappointed with all of you over these 2 weeks. I have not seen any presents in my mail. And I'm not mad. Disappointed. But anyway, do all of those things. I will be posting links to my TikTok, to my YouTube, or to my X, Twitter, whatever it is, and my Facebook, so you can give me follows there, where I will also be providing information. And as always, if you like what you see, just give me some feedback, because I like interacting with you guys. So without further ado, let's cha-cha into the episode. So, moving on to the NFL drafts section of the channel, and I'm a little surprised about how much steam that this question and that this news has gained in the last few days. And I've actually had numerous people reach out to me to kind of get my insights on it. So I figured I'd talk about it on the show because it's important. And it's also going to lead into a segment that I like to call True Dat or Now, there was a rumor that came out that the Broncos were seriously considering moving up to the number 1 spot in order to draft either Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. I am going to dissect this a little bit, and I don't think it's wrong that people were asking me about it, because it's incredibly salacious. It's incredibly provoking. But it's also important to kind of consider some of the circumstances coming on about it. So let's consider the source. The source that broke this was from a writer that at least the Denver beat writers had never heard of. I did a couple searches of him. I couldn't find anything really substantive. And from a site called Sportskeeda, I did find the site on Facebook. So I don't know if that already is a little bit of a red flag. But again, I couldn't find anything to really substantiate that this is a major site that breaks major news or the source that it came from. The source also pretty much quoted himself, which is never a good sign. The community that follows the Broncos and the organizations tied with that also stated that they'd never heard of this either. So when you consider the source, it's not a great source. It's just not a great source. It didn't come from one of the big guys like Schefter, Pelissaro, and it didn't come from a local source that's good at breaking news too. Logistically, to move up from 12 all the way to 1 would take a king's ransom to move up that far. It's either going to be a package of draft picks, it's going to be or a package of existing players on the current roster. Sportskeeda said that the Broncos were open to the idea of trading Patrick Surtain in order to facilitate the trade. Again, Denver doesn't have the draft capital to do that unless they're going to dip into their future draft picks, which I don't know that they want to do considering how bad the Russell Wilson experiment flopped. And they also don't have, they have a good roster. I think they have a borderline playoff contending roster. We saw that this year. We don't see a lot of depth on the roster. So I don't know how they would facilitate it with existing players that we already have. And then when you also consider that they're willing to trade Patrick Surtain, I keep wanting to call him Simpson for some reason. PS2. You've already had George Payton come out and say that they are very much interested in keeping PS2 here long term. You also have a lot of financial flexibility with him right now. He's still on his rookie deal. You still have his 5th-year option, and you still have the franchise tag that you can use. To give up those 3 pieces in order to move up to grab a guy, even if they really like him, just doesn't seem very feasible. So if you combine all those 3 things, I'm just not sure that there's a whole lot of credence to this. Now, this is the NFL offseason. Rumors are put out there every day in order to disguise what teams really want to do. And I'm not saying that the rumor isn't maybe out there. I just think it maybe just be that. It may be just kind of a thoughtless rumor that was thrown into the atmosphere and to see what would stick. I think you also have to consider what the Bears want to do. The Bears have made no indication what they want to do with this pick. They've made no indication what they want to do with Justin Fields. They've made almost nothing. So you combine all those things, and I'm not saying that the rumor may be out there. I just don't know how credible it is. So when we go to our judging criteria of true dat or I have to give it a Now, my thoughts personally, I would hate if they traded Patrick Surtain for any one of the top 3 guys. I just think he is the cornerstone of the defense right now. You have so much financial flexibility with him. You can build off of him. I don't know that you necessarily want to jettison that off in order to take an unproven guy in, no matter how talented he is. As far as the guy, if it's Jayden Daniels, I would be over the moon. I love Jayden Daniels. Like I said, I watch a lot of Pac-12 football, or the former Pac-12, being a Buffaloes fan. So I liked Daniels at Arizona State. I also liked him at LSU. I watched a couple of LSU games this year. Came away super impressed. If it's for Drake May, I don't have as much frame of reference, but I did watch a game with him, and he was fine. I'll just say that. He was fine. There were things that I liked and things that I didn't like. I would, to sum it up, I like him. I don't love him. Now, if it were Caleb Williams, I would cry. Just because I don't see, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I do get that quite a bit, that I come off as a hater. I'm not trying to be that. I just don't see a generational talent with Caleb Williams, even if he is talented. But some of the things that I saw, again, from watching him in a few games, watching a lot of Pac-12 football, watching him against the Buffaloes, and I just didn't come away thinking, wow, this is a guy that's going to carry a franchise for 15 years. I do think he has the arm talent, whatever that means. We'll just call it that. He makes a lot of, not a lot, he makes a throw every once in a while that has you go, wow. But he also, for me, when I'm judging a quarterback, I want to see decision making, and I want to see good situational awareness, and I want to see if the game's on the line or they need to make a play, can he do it? The first 2 things I saw. The last one, I didn't always see, and that concerns me. So again, I would say that this probably falls under speculative. I don't like the source, and I would frankly hate the trade. So I'm all about poo-pooing this. Again, if you think I'm way out of line, get back to me and we can have a conversation about it. But as far as that goes, I don't think it's going to happen. And if it did, I don't really like the players that they would pick up. So now we move on to the offseason portion of the show. And I look at basically something I found on Instagram where somebody made the post that the team does have some interesting decisions to make at wide receiver. So I decided to do a hypothetical on the two biggest names that are out there, that being Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, and seeing if we're going to be keeping one, the other, or another one. So the first thing I'll do is talk about Jeudy. Now, the pros to keeping JJ is I don't think that we've seen Jeudy at his full potential yet. And how could you blame him? Because we haven't had consistent offensive play since he's been here. Hasn't had consistent quarterback play since he's been here. And so all those things you're still left wondering what if a little bit when it comes to JJ. Two, we can look at previous seasons, just the season before, where he was the primary offensive threat and how well he did. He almost cracked 1,000 yards, even considering how slow a start that he had. His touchdowns went up, catches went up, yards went up. All of these things, when he was the focal point of the offense, we saw. And then when you also consider just his age, that you have to still think that his best years may be ahead of him. Now, when we think about the cons, the biggest things that stand out to me are not necessarily football related, but maybe mental. And he always seems like he has like these maturity issues where he's getting into it with fans on Twitter. We all remember the Steve Smith situation on the Monday night game where he had an altercation with him over comments that Smith has made. So that's a concern. You also have to consider the finances of it. And right now with Denver and their cap situation, that even though that JJ does have his fifth-year option that we can use to keep him for another season, you also have to consider that's fully guaranteed. So I believe the number is at least $12 million, and that will be a fully guaranteed number for one season. And I don't know that Denver is going to want to commit those kind of dollars to somebody that just hasn't had the production line up with that yet. Now, moving on to Cortland Sutton. Sutton is our best offensive threat. And you saw that this year where it was basically Russ had a lot of instances where it was like, Cortland's down there, let's chuck it up there. But and in an offense that I don't think has really found its footing on where it wants to be yet, I don't know that jettisoning your top offensive threat is really something that they want to do. You also have to consider he's a leader in the locker room. I've been critical of the team in years previous because I think there's been a leadership vacuum there. And I think that's being filled with guys like Justin Simmons, guys like Zach Allen, guys like Quinn Miners, guys like Cortland Sutton. So I think that these guys are really growing into that leadership role, and I think that the front office now is being cognizant that it's not that they need to weigh that when it comes to their decisions in their roster management. I think you also have to look at the fact that we may not have seen the best of Cortland Sutton yet either, because of the same reasons we outlined for Jeudy. He hasn't had consistent quarterback play, and he had 10 touchdowns this year in spite of that. Now, where we may get onto the flip side and where he may not be the best fit for us anymore is his age. Now, he is only 28, and in football years, that's still fine. However, when you look at skill positions and you look at the decline in production and when that starts, it's around 29 or 30. So for as much money as he's making right now, it's a gamble that that production isn't going to start to fall off a cliff next year or the year after. You also have to look at his injury history. This year, he had concussion issues. The year before, he was nicked up all year. The year before that, he had the knee injury. Combine that with his age, and you may see the decline in production. And just like we outlined with JJ, the money has to be factored in this. Right now, Cortland Sutton is the 19th ranked wide receiver when it comes to salary, and you want those guys to be catching 75 balls, coming up with 1,000 yards, and having 8 receiving touchdowns. And we just didn't see that this year. Now, he didn't have great quarterback play, or I wouldn't say that, consistent quarterback play, and he didn't have an aggressive offense. But this will be 3 years in a row that we haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver, or a guy that was in the mix as far as catching a lot of balls or anything like that. So when you can factor all those things in, and what's the decision we come to? Well, if it were me, I would seriously consider letting Jeudy walk, getting the compensatory pick for him, whatever that may be, probably a 4th or a 5th rounder, which they weren't going to do that much better in a trade anyway, and do my best to keep Cortland Sutton, but maybe look at a restructure for him. So, in short, I like JJ. I would hate to lose JJ, and maybe he turns it around with another team. I would hate that. But right now, I don't know that you can commit another $12 million to somebody who only has that production. And I would keep Cortland Sutton in hopes of having some more continuity on offense and maybe seeing him grow and have some productive years, at least for the next 2 years. So that wraps up another episode. I will be getting out these videos probably every other week along with my written work. Now that we're in the off season, there isn't as much news to break, but there's still content that I want to get to you guys. As always, give me a like, give me a share, give me a comment, subscribe, buy me presents. Again, I didn't get any presents over the break, and I'm just wondering what's going on. Am I not funny enough? Am I not charming enough? Is it my looks? What is it? Again, tell me in the comments. But I just want to say to all the people that are doing that, thank you so much. I love interacting with you guys. I love talking football. I love talking Broncos football. So also send me ideas of things that you want me to talk on. If you find stuff online, send it to me so that way we can chop it up more on the channel. But I will be getting this out over the weekend. I will also be publishing some written work as well for my older audience that likes to read a little bit. And as always, keep your eye on the ball, and I'll talk to you next time.